Hey guys, what is happening and welcome to this video. So in today's video, we are talking about the greater fool theory and why it's not going to work. So without further ado guys, let's do this. Alright guys, welcome back. So here we are, it's like a spring. We've been blessed with a fake spring, as it's called here in Alberta. You know, it's like 10 degrees right now, but the fact is guys, there'll be more snow. It'll all change. It always does. We get lured into this false sense of security. So before we get started guys, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to get started and talk about this. So I just did that whiteboard video, which was about 2008, and I really hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you haven't watched that video, go and watch that video, because I think it's very important that people really watch that video and understand it, because we often talk about real estate on this channel and we don't talk about the private debt, which we are going to be talking about more, because it is the most important component when you think of how people become unemployed. It's through their employer. So the fact is that's going to play a massive role in the crash. So you need to understand that. So go and watch that video at the end of this video. So the greater fool theory, why won't it work here in Canada? You know, I read a statistic the other day that just really, I just couldn't believe it when I read it. The fact is, guys, for every $1 that Canadians have, there's $1.73 in debt outstanding. So what does that mean? How does that mean that the greater fool theory won't work? Well, the thing is, guys, if you are buying an asset, let's say, could be a stock, could be real estate or whatever, and your plan is to sell that asset onto the greater fool, which is that next person down the road or whatever. If there's not enough money in the system for them to pay for that asset, how are they ever going to pay for it? So eventually what you get is people will take out debt. They take out leverage to pay for it because there isn't enough money in the system. But eventually you meet the end of the debt, where the debt has gone so far that people can't even afford the debt payments anymore to buy that asset. And then you enter the correction. It's where the roller coaster that we've been on here for the past, 10 years, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years comes to an end. And it will come to an end, guys, because anybody buying a piece of real estate, just try and get them to explain that. Say, you're buying this asset for $100, but in bank accounts of the buyers that you have to buy that asset, they only have $50. How are they going to buy it? Well, I'm going to loan them $50, then they're going to pay it back. Okay, but what happens when those assets get to a point where they can't even afford the debt payments now? And that's where we are right now, guys. That's where we are right now. And it's very important to understand that. A lot of people are trying to create any excuse under the sun. Money supply, immigration, retirement, the sky is blue. It does, whatever it is, we could make excuses here. Put the best excuses you've heard of why housing prices go up in the comments. I would love to hear that. You've got to have funnier ones than I did. One of the best ones I love this one. It's when people say, people have been predicting that house prices are going to go down for so long now. And I'm like, is that your argument on how they're going to go up? I mean, come on. That is just completely baseless. But anyway, guys, the fact is people need to get their head around that, because the greater fool theory is not going to play out if the greater fools can't afford what you're selling. And that doesn't matter if you're a hedge fund or whatever it is, because when there's nobody to buy, prices are going to go down. And that We're going to head into that, guys. It's going to happen. A correction is almost a certainty. A crash, less probability of a crash, but still over 50% probability of that happening. Banking crisis, over 60% probability of that happening. What people fail to understand a lot is that if housing prices just decline by a mere 20%, and a realtor actually put this on Twitter the other day, and I'll just plug my Twitter real quick. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. I post a lot of relevant stories and news on there and what I'm thinking and thoughts and stuff. But I saw on Twitter this lady, I think she was a realtor, she put how if home prices corrected in Toronto, they would just go back to August 2021 levels. And I actually retweeted this tweet and I quoted it and I said, well, yeah, that's true, but you're missing the point there. If home prices correct by 20%, when the amount of debt that has been created into the system, debt or money, same thing, then guess what happens? You get a banking crisis, because suddenly the banks need to raise loads of cash because the asset side of their balance sheet is declining in value so fast. And you know, the funny thing is, a lot of people think, that can never happen. You know, the prices never go down in Canada. What are you on about? Well, they did go down in 2016, and actually Home Capital Group or bank or whatever it is, they had to be saved by the Ontario government. We were teetering on the edge of a banking crisis after just the correction of the last bull run in the housing market. Now this one has been even more extreme because of the price levels. The price levels were so high. You got to remember, with this crisis and this bull run, I just went through a cobweb. We were starting off a much higher price level. So that means there's going to be more debt that is created. So if you imagine last time around, we nearly had a banking crisis and we were starting on price levels, you know, in Toronto. I don't know what the average price was back then, but let's say it was 800,000 or it got to 800,000 and now it's getting to 1.4 million. Well, there's a big difference there, isn't there? Because that means people are taking out way, way more debt than they were back then. And this becomes highly, highly relevant, guys, because people just have flawed understandings of the way the financial system works. A lot of realtors don't even know, they don't even understand. The fact is that if home prices decline a lot, that puts immense stress on the banks. And what do you think is going to happen to the currency? Because again, another thing I did was a podcast on this, and I'll link it below. But I was basically saying the Canadian dollar is in a very precarious place. And when Home Capital Group had to be bailed out and all that stuff was going on, the Canadian dollar was tanking. So the thing is, investors know the risks right now in Canada. The private debt is so high, which we talked about in that whiteboard video. The household debt is so high. They know it's unsustainable. And that is why oil is trading over $90 a barrel and the Canadian dollar isn't even at 80 cents. The last time oil was above $90 a barrel, the Canadian dollar was at nearly 98 cents. So what does that tell you? That tells you investors, because the Forex market, for what it's worth, guys, it's not manipulated by the government. It's a free market and it's globally traded. So investors are looking at what's happening in Canada. And I'll tell you one thing that was really kind of set off an alarm bell in my head. It was how the Canadian dollar was down nearly 1% at one point last Friday when the jobs report came out that Canada lost nearly 250,000 jobs. Because the thing is, investors know the risks. They know that, hey, if people are losing jobs there, the amount of debt in the system, what's going on? Because, you know, it's like I said on that whiteboard video, when that private debt starts to go down, there's going to be trouble, especially after rapid growth like we've had here. Just before I go here, I just want to say real quick, the poll that I did for which video do you want to see first. The 2008 one was in the lead, so I went ahead and filmed it, edited it, and that's why that one's airing first. However, the next one that we're going to do is the renters one. I'm really excited about that video. I didn't think it would be a video that people would actually want to see, believe it or not. But there is many important points that need to be discussed in that video. So stay tuned for that. I've got it filmed. I've just got to edit it now. So it will be hopefully next Wednesday's video. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please check out Dan, I Allegedly, Scott Walters, Revert to Means, Rebel Capitalist, George Gammon. These are all channels that I follow. Also check out Jeff Snyder and Emil's podcast that's on Spotify. They also have a YouTube channel as well. I'm going to link them all in the descriptions if you want to go check any of those guys out. Those are great guys to follow who are bringing you real information. So anyway, guys, I will see you on the next video. Peace and love, guys. Bye-bye.